Hey everyone, welcome to Light at the End of the Funnel podcast. This is our season 2. We're so excited that you are listening in. And for this season, we're going to be doing a couple different things. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship, digital marketing, and transformation within business development. So this is going to be an incredible season. You're not only going to hear from me, your host, Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark, but we're going to be bringing in guest experts as well so that you guys can get a full rounded view of what it's like to build a business online. So we're so excited that you are here, and listen in and stay tuned for some exciting news at the end of each episode. Hey everyone, Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark here, your host of Light at the End of the Funnel podcast. And I'm so glad you guys are here with me today because we're going to talk about how to think different. So how to stand out in a crowded marketplace. And if 2023 has taught us anything, it's that the online market space is a little crowded. Well, not just a little, it's very crowded. So we're going to talk about that today and how you guys can actually stand out in a much bigger way. So here's the thing. In the landscape where everybody's vying for attention, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're a founder, you're a CEO, you're trying to get consumers' attention, right? And so disruptive marketing is actually emerging as a key player when it comes to marketing in 2023. And this approach is by far my favorite. It's all about redefining creativity and engagement, proving that it takes bold and uniqueness to make a brand memorable. And that's the key. We want to make you memorable. We want to make your brand memorable. And we want to redefine how consumers and prospects and potential clients, they consume your content and also they engage with you and what it is that you offer. So for those looking to stand out this year and next year and the years after that, it's really going to call you forward to start thinking differently and to create connections, not just you as the person, the individual, but as a brand, as a company, as a cultured company, all of those things that connects with people and resonates with people. So disruptive marketing it's not just a trend. It's not something that we just say. It's something that we do and we be because that's the pathway to success, right? So some of you guys may be listening to this and like, yeah, I hear disruption all the time, but whenever I think of disruption, I actually think it's a bad thing. And it's true. Some people think that disruption is more like interruption. And in certain scenarios, is it great to be disrupted? No, I mean, the last thing you want to happen when you're creating like a 14-page dissertation is to be disrupted in your thought process, right? But this is specifically for disruptive marketing. So disruptive marketing. So disruptive marketing breaks from tradition. It does. It breaks from tradition. It pushes against boundaries that are there. And it introduces fresh concepts, all in the hopes to engage prospective customers. It's about thinking outside of the box, taking calculated risks because there's a lot of brands out there that took risks when it came to disruptive marketing and they weren't calculated. We don't have to go into that. Not going to go into that today, some other time. And focusing on what resonates with consumers, with customers, even if it's unconventional, especially if it's unconventional. So similar to the way disruptive innovation. So I don't know if you guys are innovative or if you're into innovation, but disruptive innovation really turns existing business models on their heads. So that's disruptive innovation. It's all about doing things completely different than what everybody else's model is doing. Disruptive marketing looks at the practices and techniques that everyone is using. This is what I call the zig. So if you guys have been hanging out with me for a while, you've heard me said, oh yeah, Danielle, there goes Danielle again on when everybody else is zigging. So this is zigging. People are zigging, following the followers, not the leaders, not being the leader. So it's time to take a good hard look at the practices and techniques that everyone's using when it comes to the platforms they're on, the things that they're saying, especially, we're going to go into that a little bit more, and, and doing the unthinkable, which happens to be the opposite. It's the zag. It's the zag. When everyone else is zigging, you zag. That's disruptive marketing. So I love it. I am, in fact, very, very, very disruptive myself. I always have been from a very, very early age. One of the words that was used to describe me was contrary. And it was, again, I think if you guys have heard the last episodes or the last few episodes, it's curious. I'm just curious. I want to understand. I want to see if we can do different things. So contrarian than I am, I love disruption. So, and this is why, because in essence, disruptive marketing is just a way to seek out new cutting edge ways of doing things, taking advantage of social platforms and new technologies along the way. So if you haven't touched AI this year, then you may not be in that space of being disruptive. If you have taken on AI in any form, guess what? Yes, you're in the club. You're a disruptor too. You just are. So congrats if you're a disruptor. If you haven't yet, don't worry. There's still plenty of time to be disruptive. So what is another way of saying? Well, it's about leading the charge. So disruption, the way that I look at it, is it's about leading the charge and no longer following what everyone else is doing. So we're not going to be followers. We're disruptors. We're leaders. So if you guys have tried AI, you're a leader. You're a disruptor. So congrats. Welcome to the club. All right. So when done right, disruptive marketing leads to increased brand visibility. It's huge. People are starting to look at you more. And hopefully customer engagement. That's the goal, right? We want to be more visible. We want more of our ideal customers to engage with our company. It also can lead to more growth in sales. Yay. That's a really good benefit. And loyalty and brand loyalty and customer loyalty. Enhanced customer experience. This is another way. This is your, not your acquisition, so to speak, but your retention when it comes to your clients and your customers. You want to retain them for as long as possible. There's so much competition out there. If you can get just as good at keeping those ideal clients as you can at acquiring them, you've got a really solid business. And it also gives you a competitive edge through innovation and fresh ideas. It does. It helps you stand out. It helps you get more sales. It helps you retain more clients and acquire more clients. And it makes you competitive in your marketplace. So this is becoming more and more important as consumers are overloaded. I mean, if you're listening to this, you're a consumer. I'm a consumer. We're all consumers, especially when we're in the online space. And if you haven't been feeling overloaded, at least a little bit, then good for you. I know for me, when it comes to information, I mean, I like more is more, but overloaded, yes, I feel like that some days. I'm like, wow, there's so many choices. So everybody's overloaded with information on any given day. So it's hard to differentiate one product or brand from another when they are all saying the same things, right? What really gets you to turn your head when you're consuming more information? What gets you to turn your head? So here's what we want to do in disruptive marketing. We want to pull on our ideal clients, our consumers' attention, and redirect their focus in on something they haven't heard, or even shifting their perspective and giving them ideas that they hadn't thought of. That's what we want to do. So here are some common ways that we bring disruption into our marketing and our clients' marketing. And before I go into that, so I'm going to tell you guys, this was the funniest thing. I didn't expect this. I don't know if you guys have ever done human design. I love to look into different pieces of personality or of ways of being and understanding of myself, because it helps me understand other people. So human design is one of those, I would say that most people call it a little woo. I like it because it seems a little more scientific than most other of these types of personality traits. And funny enough, and I didn't even know this, and this was after I've been lovingly nicknamed a digital disruptor by colleagues, I found way within my human design chart that I am meant to disrupt. Disruption is actually part of my personality. And I was like, wow, that's a coincidence, or maybe not so much. And so I always kind of looked at that and laughed because I'm like, okay, so then disruptive marketing makes sense. Me being contrary makes sense. Me just having the personality that I have, wanting to be a little bit rebellious and do things a little differently makes complete sense. And so, I like to do a lot of these things that I'm going to tell you guys about. And then I'll tell you guys how you can start using some of these disruptive marketing techniques that we use for both ourselves and our clients. I'll tell you guys how you can start using it and start creating new content and start creating new material. It's so much fun when you can do this stuff. So, reinventing common wisdom, right? So what does that look like? And this is one of the ones I love doing. Well, you take a famous saying like less is more, and you creatively rephrase it in the context of your product or service. So here's an example of that. Why settle for less when more gives you more? When more is more. So what's a real life example? Well, you guys may have caught it in the title, especially if you're Apple users, but think different. This is a slogan used by Apple, and encourage people to see technology not just as a tool, but as a way to empower creativity and individuality, right? And that challenged the traditional view of computers at that time. It was fantastic. So if you love that, if you're like, ooh, I want to try that disruptive marketing technique today, and I highly recommend today, start thinking about it. Here's how you can start. Identify common industry cliches. So common industry cliches, and brainstorm how you can turn them on their head to align with your brand's unique value proposition, right? So I did a podcast episode for Light at the End of the Funnel in season 1 where I was talking about, please reinvent the wheel because it's already been reinvented. And what I really wanted people to understand is that the structure of the wheel, yes, that has always been around. How it was designed to be used, that actually is different than the original design. The original design was more of a table rather than a wheel. But of course, we wanted to find a use, and we found a use for it that was much more useful and innovative and efficient. And so the wheel became the wheel that was a flat tabletop became the wheel for transportation, taking us even further. So I used that common saying, don't reinvent the wheel, to say, reinvent the wheel, because the wheel itself is a reinvention. Don't do the same things that everybody else is doing. Find your way. Keep the structure. The structure is good, but find your own way of doing things, because that makes especially in business, because that makes your business you. It's the essence of you. Your marketing should be in essence of you. So don't use the same thing that everybody else is doing. And I can pull it back into this with disruptive marketing, because I want you guys to stand out. I want you guys to say things that has everybody's heads turning to you and saying, I got to get to know this person, or I'm never going to forget that slogan in that company or that person. That's why I said it. So that's a really good example. This is my favorite one, reinventing common wisdom. You guys can do this today. Go and look at all those cliches that everybody's using and brainstorm how you can turn it on its head. Look for the opposite. What is another meaning? What's another perspective of that? Use that in your marketing and see what happens. Okay, so here's another one. Storytelling with a twist. What's an example of this? So share a customer success story, but there's a but. Include an unexpected failure that led to the ultimate success. Wait, what? That sounds awful. Why would we want to do that? Why would we want to talk about a customer success story, but instead of saying what the success was, talk about the failure first? Well, here's an example. Dove, right? So Dove's Real Beauty campaign they told a story of beauty in a way that challenged the typical narrative, especially for a beauty brand. They used real women rather than models, and they revolutionized the way beauty was portrayed in the industry, right? So that's what they were doing. It included an unexpected failure for the ultimate success. So here's what you guys can start doing today with this. Gather real customer stories and identify moments where expectations were subverted. Then craft these into engaging narratives, right? It's the ultimate pivot. And so my last podcast episode was about pivoting, how sometimes in business we need to pivot. And so you guys can actually, you don't necessarily have to use your customer story. You guys can use your own stories of products and programs within what you do and how you use them, and talk about the failures first. So nothing ever is perfect the first time out. Talk about what the beta version was. What was that like? Talk about the first time you launched that product and how it failed. Talk about that. And then talk about what you learned. And then talk about how you improved it. Talk about how great it is now. But you never would have known how great it could be if you didn't go through the failure first, right? What's a good example of that? I can pull from pretty much any of my launches and say, yeah, the first one sucked bad every time. Doesn't mean I didn't sell one or two, but I only sold one or two when it was meant to be a program for 10, right? I've got those. I've got those stories. I think a lot of people have those stories. And so what did I do? What did I do to overcome those? Well, I got better at my marketing for sure. I got better at my messaging. I got better at aligning the product and who it was perfect for. But I needed those first two people to test it even more, to understand what worked for them, what didn't, and to make improvements. And then, boom, next time around, I nailed that message. I nailed who those ideal clients were, and I filled it. And so, like I said, that could be pretty much for any one of my group program launches. That could go for those. And I would say for any of the new things that I launch, that is memorable and also relatable, right? And especially in the online space, you got to find ways to be relatable so that people can just insert who they are and what they're going through into what you went through. And then they'll really be able to connect, engage with you further. They will appreciate you that much more too, because you were honest. So gather those up, start speaking your truth. And if you're a brand, use the customers, use them as well. And it really is about the moral of the story. All right. What's another one? Oh, visual disruption. I've got a really good example of this. It's coming out in a couple weeks on the next podcast episode. I'm going to put this out on social media. It's so good. This is another fun one. All right. So what's an example of visual disruption? A traditional banking service, we'll use this as an example, that uses bright graffiti style graphics in their marketing campaign. Okay, so what do you guys think of when you think of traditional branding? I don't know. The first thing that's popping up to me is the color gray, maybe a blue. So a banking service that uses something more neon is completely disruptive visually, right? It's not what you think. Just like, oh my gosh, do they bank with rock stars or influencers? Maybe not. However, this is what I want you guys to do with this. I want you guys to actually look at this in terms of an experiment. So experiment with some not divines, yes. Do divine experimenting, sure. Experiment with designs that contrast with industry norms and test them with your target audience, right? So if you are in the banking industry, let's just say, maybe you're an accountant and you go and you search for accounting services and put the city that you're in, look at the top 5 and see if you notice anything different. Guarantee you're not going to. You're probably going to look at this and like, everybody has the same 5 colors. Wow. Or everybody has a photo of somebody talking to somebody at the top. And oh my goodness, even the messaging is the same. They might as well. The only thing that's different that I can see, and it's only slightly different, is the logo and the name of the company. That's a really good indication that there's room for visual disruption. So look at it and say, huh, This is my industry. How can I turn this upside down? What can I do that's opposite? And how can I test that with my ideal audience? Let's see what happens, right? Okay. Another one, interactive content. Not just interactive content that challenges. Ooh, what's this mean, right? Interactive content that challenges. So, what's an example? A fitness brand creating a quiz. I've seen those, right? But this quiz helps users discover unconventional workout routines that are tailored to their personalities. How about that? Take the quiz and find out what your fitness personality is. Interesting. Now that's something different rather than a quiz that says, what kind of crunches should you do? The things that I already know, but oh my goodness, can I actually create a different workout routine based on my personality? And it makes sense because one of the hardest things for fitness, for a lot of people, is sticking with it. And why is it not sticking with them? Well, it may not be a personality match. Some people don't like going to the gym. I love going to the gym. I love it. It gets me out of the house. So I love going to the gym. I would much prefer to go to the gym. Even at the end of the day when I'm tired and the last thing I want to do is be around people, I still want to go to the gym because they can't come on my machine with me. So it's me, just me on my machine. And so that's my personality. Now, is that everybody's? No, some people hate going to the gym. In fact, they're like, I would rather do anything else besides go to the gym. And some people don't even, and here's another thing that I actually don't like running on a treadmill. So which is really weird. So I don't go on that machine when I go to the gym, but I love to go outside and run, or I love to go outside and hike. To me, when it's forward movement on a treadmill, it needs to be outside. I actually need to be going somewhere. So otherwise the row machine or the stair stepper or the elliptical, I'm good. That I don't need to go anywhere. I know what I'm doing on that one. But when it comes to running, forget it. I don't want to do a treadmill. Now, having a quiz that helps me figure out that piece, well, yeah, because you're this eclectic fitness personality. No surprise there. And so you should try this and this and this and this. And like, oh, I actually like changing up my workout routine. I could probably stick with that a little bit more. And it'll get me out of the house. It'll get me out in nature. And it'll also keep me in the gym too. But I'm still outside of the house. So when it comes to interactive content that challenges the status quo, right? How do you start? Well, think about ways to engage your audience interactively that also will challenge their assumptions and their expectations, right? So here's the thing with the quizzes, though. You have to make sure that you challenge them right in the title, first off, because otherwise they're not going to take the quiz. They got to take the quiz to be surprised. So that's the one thing I will say is that, and you know what you guys can do? You can look at what your competitors are doing that is engagement. So quizzes are a really great example, guys. Like, what is it that my competitors are doing? Like, so one of the things I see a lot is I see e-commerce companies, when you first go to the website, they'll have a pop-up that is spin the wheel to get a discount. Spin the wheel. Again, another one. Do I have to give you my phone number too? So maybe instead of having that be a pop-up on your e-commerce company, you try something a little more disruptive. Maybe you put that on its head, and instead of spinning the wheel, maybe everybody does something instead, like that's like Plinko, like the game Plinko. Not that we're turning it quite upside on the head, but even just a different game would be cool. So if we're going to spin the wheel like we are in Price is Right, why not have something that's still interactive, that's a different Price is Right game? So the first one that came to mind to me was Plinko, or guess that brand amount or something like that. But go to use what they're using, Price is Right, and do a different game. Create it rather than the same one. So that is the interactive content that challenges, right? Okay, now I got two more. The next one is social engagement with a purpose. Yay. social engagement with a purpose. So, what's a really good example of this? Well, social media challenges are really great. There's social engagement with a purpose where participants submit innovative product ideas with the winning idea being developed. I love that. I love that. That's so disruptive. So what about that one? That could be amazing. That could be amazing. And I want to definitely pull up a really great example for you guys on this. Okay, so who's got a really good example of this? I actually love the example of Lego. So Lego has a good example where they allow fans to submit their own design ideas. And with community support leading to the actual production and the turning customers into collaborators and innovators. I mean, if you're going to be collaborative and innovative, what's a great brand to do that? Lego's a great brand to do that, right? So if that's something that you guys are interested in, if you love the idea of like a social media challenge, especially for those that use influencer marketing or who are influencers or creators, or they have their own creator economy going on within their brand, this is a great disruptive, right? So this is what you first want to do. You want to identify ways that your audience can actively participate in something meaningful related to your brand and promote it through your channels. So what would be something like super meaningful? And how can you create that? And how can you guys promote that in your channels? Right? So start there. Identify your audience and how they would like to actively participate in something, or would they actively participate in something? And that's the other thing. It's like Lego has it right because people like to build. That's the whole thing with Lego. They're builders. They want to build, but they don't want to just build. They want people to see what they built, right? There are little architects in the making. So think of it like that. And the last one, this one's funny. This one's funny, of course, right? It's actually using funny. It's using humor and wit unexpectedly, right? Unexpectedly. When do we use humor and wit? When's the best time? Like, okay, so for me, and I'll own this one. Sometimes the funniest things, the things that always catch me off guard, are when the humor comes out of nowhere. So, me and my daughters, we watch YouTube, and we like to watch some of these influencers that they play the same. They're all playing the same game, which is if you laugh, then you have to do something. It's usually something like gross or drinking hot sauce or something that they're not going to want to do. And so they have to go through a series of video clips that were given to them by their friends or from their production team. And they have to not laugh. They can smile, but they can't laugh. And I'm always looking at these and like, yeah, these are lame. Nobody's going to laugh at that. I could do this. But the ones that always get me, and it tends to get these creators and influencers too, are the animal ones. Animals doing something really unexpected because it's like a jump scare, but then it's also funny because animals are they are a wild card and that to me is really funny. So what's a good example? If you're a company owner, I mean, you guys probably don't want to just throw cats at a camera when you're doing an advertisement or something like that. But a good example is like a B2B company, a tech company using lighthearted, humorous content to help explain their complex product, right? So you'll see this a lot on advertisements now where they could be taking a product that could be seen as silly and they make it sillier, but sometimes even taking something that is a complex product and simplifying it through humor is a great way to go. So what's a really good way of talking about this in marketing terms? Well, Old Spice, right? Old Spice uses humor all the time. Now, is it complex? No, but it does have a complex list of ingredients, but they do use humor in bizarre commercials and it works for them. So they'll use these in unexpected ways. They'll do it to showcase. They'll do it to showcase something funny. Like your man could smell like this man, right? Well, wait, what is it again? It's the man your man could smell like, right? That's funny. The man that your man could smell like, and they have two men there, right? And so this is just unexpected. It redefines the brand and captures it in a funny way, right? So if this is something that you're like, I really want to use humor, then you guys start identifying areas where your content could benefit from a touch of humor or wit, and work with a creative director or a writer to bring those ideas to life. So if you have something that's very complex within what you're offering, how can you lighten that a little bit? What can you do that is funny, is interesting, is not exactly what's expected, but it's a funny way. Like if you have a product that could be used multiple ways, and keep it decent, guys, keep it decent. But if you have a product that can be used in multiple ways, but it's normally known to be used this way, why not have something funny for that, right? So what's a good example of that? Like, well, if you think about marshmallows, right? Marshmallows, and you could actually use this in disruptive pillars in a couple different ways, but there's a game that we played in high school. It was like one of our Color Wars games, and it was Chubby Bunny. And so we'd stuff marshmallows. Well, one of us would. I didn't do it. There's no way that was going to work for me. We'd stuff as many marshmallows as we could in our mouth to play the Chubby Bunny game. And whoever stuffed the most marshmallows in their mouth won, if they didn't throw up or worse, choke, right? Choking would definitely be worse, but that could be something where if somebody really wanted to have the brand stand out, and this is a memorable way, but this is a silly way of using marshmallows is for a game like this, they could do a commercial on Chubby Bunny and how it's played all around the world. People play Chubby Bunny, and making it, even if it's not being played now, not trying to age myself, I probably just did quite a bit actually. But having that be a game that they bring back, and of course, they may not want to use that one actually because we don't want people to choke. Maybe there's something on the bottom that says, be careful not to choke on it, or some kind of advisory on that. But that could be something. That's a really good example of, making it funny, making it light and humorous on a product. So there's all these different ways to use humor and wit, but you guys want to think about what's going to work for you, right? What's going to work for you? So that is my examples of disruptive marketing. These are the pillars, guys. This is what we focus on. This is what we help our clients with. So if you guys are thinking that, okay, I really want to stand out, or nobody knows, or there's too much, this is the other one. There's too much competition. There's not too much competition, guys. This is just calling you forward to be disruptive. It's just calling you forward to be disruptive. There's too much. What there is too much of, there is too much of the same old, same old. There's too much of the same verbiage. There's too much of the same messaging. There's too much of the same advertisement. People are bored. Give them something. Give them something to talk about. And remember, you buy, of course. So if you focus on these, you start infusing disruption into your marketing plan today, then you guys are going to start understanding just how powerful it can be. You guys may even find that you want to take your brand's voice into a new, unique pathway. And you're just going to break the norm, especially if you're doing the same things that everybody else is doing. That is not where you want to be. You want to zag. So my suggestions: start small, experiment, measure that response, and then iterate and expand. So it's a scientific method, right? That's really what it is. Expand on what is working. It can be a lot of fun, guys. So disruption isn't about just the shock value. It's about coming up with unique, fresh, meaningful ways of bringing your product, your services to life and being memorable. So I hope that helps. And of course, I want you guys to share this if you loved it. Subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to iTunes and Spotify. Those are my two favorites because I can listen to them at the gym. And share it around. Leave us a comment too if you liked it, or if you had suggestions on what we should do next for a podcast episode. I love doing these. All right, everyone. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week. If it's a weekend, the rest of your weekend. Bye for now. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. And I want you guys to go and find me over on LinkedIn. You can search my name, Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark. I am the only one on LinkedIn. And go ahead and either connect or follow with me because we're going to have so many events available for all of our following. And we love to run our events on LinkedIn. So I encourage you to go and find me there, connect with me. And if I'm past connection requests, which I'm right up on that line, then please follow me and make sure to go to my profile and ring the bell that's right on the right side underneath the banner so that you will get notifications whenever I'm running an event or whenever I go live, and so that me and my team can fully support you in your next steps. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. And again, share this around, subscribe on Spotify and iTunes. We really appreciate it. And don't forget to leave comments. How did you like the episode? What are some of the things that you'd like to see? Because we need that feedback in order to deliver even more value to you. Bye for now.